Megalithic mysteries, learnings from the field. Having boots on the ground and actually seeing this stuff firsthand, handling the stone, looking at the sites, being there to see it instead of just relying on pictures and research through the internet. There's such a difference. And over the past few months, I've spent about 8 to 9 days in the field learning, looking at different things and meeting interesting people and learning new information. And there's been a lot of learnings that have come out of that. And this week I wanted to share some of those learnings with you. Now, originally it was going to be a solo cast. However, in a blast from the past, Angus come and joined us again here at Unlocking the Code. Angus is one of the founding members of the podcast, and those early episodes that have Waiting for the World to Change, that's him singing, and also the Everlong compilation, that's myself and Angus that put that one together, which actually has demonetized the podcast when we put it on YouTube, which is pretty funny. However, excellent to have him back, and he hasn't been across all the stuff we've been up to the last few months, so I thought what would be a good idea was to turn the mics on and download him with all the information and then get his genuine reaction, and he can ask me questions. And it was an excellent conversation. It was really good to sit down in the refinery and record a podcast. It's actually been quite a while since I recorded a podcast in the refinery, as I say, purely been based in the field. Everything's coming along, guys. The theories are building. The connections to people are building. There's some really cool guests coming up, and sharing my ideas and sharing some of the learnings and the lessons and the visuals from the field, I hope gives you guys a better snapshot of what we're up to and what's coming and what we're trying to do. I don't have too much more for this one, guys, apart from it was awesome to sit back down with Angus, and don't know when he'll be back. However, he'll drop in every now and again when a subject piques his interest or my interest and we want to sit down and unpack it. Remember, guys, get in touch with me, unlockingthecode9@gmail.com. Also, Instagram, Unlocking the Code. There's the Unlocking the Code Facebook page. Give us a like and a follow there. Anyone that can give us any reviews on iTunes, that would be awesome. It really helps with the algorithm. As always, thanks to Jono for the intro. I think we'll go with Bathe in the Sun. I like that as the intro song for this one. And I'm not too sure what we'll finish with, so it'll be a mystery when I sit down and put it together. The fact that the podcast is going through a growth at the moment is very humbling, and obviously welcome to all the new listeners, and thank you to all the existing listeners. Please spread the word. We're into some really interesting stuff, guys. We are truly unlocking the code to our true history and attempting to navigate the chaos of life. Look after yourselves, stay safe, be cool, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.
Today I sat in a field of paper daisies. The gentle breeze made the world wave to me. The day has come with a gold ring wrapped around it. I think I might just bathe in the sun. And I hope my world don't crash in over me, just like it did yesterday. I'm pretty sure the last mirror that I cracked was more than 7 years ago. And I don't want to wear those bullet holes no more. I want to kill my nightmare breeze made the world wave to me. The day has come with a gold ring wrapped around it. I think I might just bathe in the sun. I think I might just bathe in the sun. I think I might just bathe in the sun.
G'day everyone, welcome back. You'll never guess who came to the refinery tonight.
G'day guys, how's going?
Angus is back.
Hey guys. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Angus is on a bit of a different path now with his guitar, and he became a new dad in the period since he's last been on, so that's cool. And anyway, he's going to come back and join us every now and again when the mood
strikes. But Triffin spiked my curiosity earlier on today. Well, he's been spiking my curiosity with his Instagram posts, and it all come to a fore this afternoon when we're like, look, let's just sit down and have a talk about it. And Triffin, as Triffin does, said, why don't we hit record? And I was like, why not?
Why not?
Let's do this.
Why not? Because
so
as
you
say,
get to learn as I get to learn.
Yeah.
Triff's going to unload sort of the activities he's been up to over the last, what would you say, month?
It's nearly since December last year, man.
December last year.
Nearly 3
so we're
months.
going to go back to December and sort of decode from December through to start of March.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, obviously we did there's the Stonehenge stuff as well. However, I know you don't have as much knowledge on that. You know what I mean? So whatever questions you have for me, shoot them at me. You know what I mean? I think. So I mean, obviously, as the listeners know, you guys have been on board us. You know, the new listeners that been to Gympie a couple of times. Went and saw Richard Patterson. I've been down to Mullumbimby and Byron a couple of times, and I just got back from a conference with Evan and Stephen Strong, with Lost But Not Forgotten conference down there. Very cool guys. They will be coming on the podcast in the near future, which will be a lot of fun.
Well, mate, do you want to work backwards from there?
Yeah, I suppose we can. Yeah.
Do you want to fill me in from the most recent? So, yeah, I see a couple of posts there. You've got some carved rocks. Tell me about those. What are they? Sort of thing. What's the significance?
So we went down there. My lovely wife joined me, should I say, on her first UTC adventure. So that was really cool to have her along with me, and went to a series of lectures. First one with Evan and Stephen Strong, where they were basically talking about the indigenous culture being megalithic in nature, and the fact that there's a lot of evidence that points to this. And they showed another 4 or 5 sites, you know, including Gympie and Australia's Stonehenge. Like, there's other ones dotted around Australia that they've been to and they're aware of, which some of the photos were quite mind-blowing.
Okay.
Proper big, like, I know, because so tonight, Angus and I have had a bit of a look through the Gympie pictures, and he's seen some of that stuff and some of the stuff I posted on Instagram. The stones that, like, the biggest stones you saw tonight would be tiny in comparison to some of the stuff that I saw over the weekend. You know, and that's part of the stuff I want to unpack with those boys.
And where were those? Where were those sites? Like, just rough.
Some in New South Wales.
Yep.
Some more in Queensland.
Yep.
And South Australia as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you know, like, and some of the evidence was quite perplexing.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, you know, I've showed you the evidence that I've gathered myself over the past few months, and you found that very compelling. Mm-hmm. This stuff just blows it out of the water.
Yeah, right. It's in depth to the nth degree.
Yeah, and it's also very curious. Like, there was stuff that looked like cogs. There was stuff that had like cogs around it. There was like box drains that run down a hill.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a
aquifer kind of thing.
Yeah, like an aquifer type of thing. Yeah, all sorts of interesting stuff. And yeah.
So what's it's Evan and Stephen?
Yeah, they're father and son.
And son.
Yeah, Stephen's the father and Evan's the son, yeah.
Yep. And just a little backstory. Sort of, did they give you a backstory? Like, how long have they been doing this sort of stuff? Because I'm not aware of them, sort of thing.
No, look, I've been aware of them for a little while. So when I was researching the Stonehenge stuff, I know that they went with Richard down there. And if you look on Graham Hancock's website, that's who the articles about Australia's Stonehenge are done by.
Okay.
So that's when I first became aware of them.
Right, okay.
Through Richard. However, I'll be honest and say that I forgot about daylight savings in New South Wales. So
It catches us Queenslanders.
it catches
out
the
all
Queensland.
time.
So I was an hour late to the first lecture. So if they
Yeah.
gave the backstory,
Gotcha.
I didn't hear it.
Okay.
However, the good thing is that, as I say, they'll be on in the near future, and I
Yep.
think the first podcast will be "What's your story, boys?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think you
Give
need
us a
to,
backstory. Yeah.
before we get into, like, they've got mind blowing information. Whoever, I want to hear about where they've come from and what's led them down
definitely.
the rabbit hole. Yeah, but they're very misunderstood guys. Like, you know what I mean? They have been lambasted in the media. Like, I've seen a few. Like, they're along with Graham as well, like pseudoscientists and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
It's
They've
the
had-
kind of stuff they've
that's
been
the kind of-
called.
it's the kind
yeah.
of stuff. And again, misunderstood, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
is what I got out of the weekend. Very nice guys, very deep in the rabbit hole. However, if I had the level of stuff that they have,
Yeah.
I'd be that deep as well. You know what I mean? Like, they've
Yeah,
actually,
definitely.
and they also are working with the Indigenous people. That the
Yeah.
stuff that this land's found of, like the carry-on glyphs. Ask me about the glyphs later.
Yeah.
The Gosford glyphs.
Yep.
Found out a whole heap about those.
Okay. Yep.
They help save that site, but they've got to do some more to that site as well. So they're going to set up GoFundMes and stuff in the near future.
Yep.
They've been working with a lot of Indigenous people. Well, they called them Aborigines, and I actually really like that. Instead of Aborigines, they called
Yep.
them Aborigines,
Yep.
and I think I'm going to adopt that term because I think that's cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
So they're working with the Aborigine people down there, and in every step that they take, they try and honour Indigenous law and all that sort of stuff. So
Gotcha.
they're doing it the right way,
Yeah.
and as best they can.
Yep.
And they've got a fantastic selection of rocks, so and some rings that we saw as
So
well.
that where did they? So tell me, where did you showed me some photos of some rings and some rings that looked like they come from giants.
Yes.
But sort of give me an understanding of the photos you showed me, where a lot of the stuff came from.
All over the place. They weren't very specific about the locations, and I think they do that on purpose.
Yes.
Because from what, the understanding and sort of working with the Kabi people with the Gympie Pyramid, I've got a bit of an understanding. It's like there is some stuff that we just don't know. You know what I mean? That's the reality.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we will know if we get, hopefully. However, same thing. I think there've been places that they didn't take photos of, and you know what I mean? I think there've been more. There's more to them meets the eye.
Yeah.
And if they keep the locations, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's somewhere in the mountains in New
General.
South Wales. It's
Yeah.
like, well, that's the entire.
So was majority of their stuff Australian or
Yes.
Australasian?
Yeah, there was some stuff. A lady bought some stuff that came from America that looked very, very similar to the stuff that they had. So that's
Yep.
so they're sort of talking about
Connection to like
connections.
South America?
Yeah,
Because
it
there
was-
is a DNA connection, isn't there?
there is a DNA connection to South America.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
yeah.
Between origines. I like that term, man.
I do, I like it,
It's
man.
yeah. It's a very positive feeling
Absolutely.
term.
It's a term, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. So, so those guys, we sort of sat with them for an hour and a half, and they unloaded some really awesome information, which I won't go into too much depth here because I think they deserve a chance to
Yeah.
do it themselves.
Yeah,
However,
they'd do it much better.
exactly. I
justice.
don't want to butcher it.
Yeah.
However, I'm very curious to hear the story. Like they had over like 180 stones or something like that. There was more the second day. I will share the experience I had with the stones the second day. It's a little bit trippy, but that's what we do around here. So
Well, hang on. What do you mean? What experience did you have with the stones?
So the sad day we saw Stephen and Evan, and then we saw a past life guy. There was like a few, and then a lovely lady spoke about the carry-on glyphs, and then we saw some stuff to do with Atlantis as well. So overall, it was a very good day. And then actually a Binner finished it off, and he's a very cool guy. And hopefully I'll have him on in the near future as well to talk about.
Oh, was he another presenter?
Yeah, sort of. He finished it off. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep.
very cool guy.
Okay.
And yeah, just hopefully I want to talk. If I'm going to connect with him in the near future as well.
Gotcha.
So it was a very good day. But the next day they had specific lectures, like
yep.
extra ones,
Gotcha.
and like we drove all the way to Byron and back in one day. And basically, they asked me if I was coming back the next day, and I should come back the next day. And as it was my birthday, my wife said, "You know what? If you're going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can go." So, you know what we do, man?
Great girl.
Discipline equals...
Great wife.
Absolutely. And discipline equals freedom. You got to get up at 4.
Got to do what you got to
You got to
do.
get up at 4, right?
Yep.
So I drove back to Byron the next day. Luckily left time
accounted
for the daylight savings, but I also left time because the bloody highway was shut off because of an accident. Like nearly all I know diverted up through the mountains and stuff. But anyway, I got there with like a minute to spare.
Right.
So they had set up it was a bit of a ceremony they had done. They had 2 stone circles, and they'd set them up. He'd set them up in a certain way.
Yeah.
Okay, he sort of said, basically, you go walk counterclockwise around them 3 times, then you walk into the circles, basically welcome yourself, talk to them, and say g'day, whatever you want, whatever comes to your mind, like introduce your energy to the stones. Do that in the second circle, and then he basically sat down and he went into detail about, there's the male stone, the female stone. They're the ones I posted on Insta.
Yep. Okay.
They're the ones that one's like a Rosetta Stone, and the other one you can see it's like I showed you that before. It looks like it's got a soldering iron through it. You know what I mean? It's like something pointed is dragged through that smoothly.
Yeah. It nearly looks, the stone nearly looks melted.
Yes.
As though you've
run
the soldering iron through like cheese or butter or something.
Something like that. And the thing is, a lot of those stones were very smooth. I imagine they've been handled a lot. However, their composition was very fascinating. We couldn't directly handle them. So basically, we had a rubber glove on one hand, and they sort of came round in a, like in a shirt or something. They were sort of sitting on. That's what I've taken the photos on.
Yeah, I noticed that fabric in the background.
So I didn't physically touch them, and that's totally cool. And that's basically surrounding the energy of them. Okay. And I was, unlocking the code way, mate. You're one of the founding members, so we approach things with open minds and open perspectives, willing to embrace the experience, come what may.
Yep. So
learning about the stones and sort of learning about what they mean and some of the stories that they've held with them and stuff like that. We went through a roster of you get 5 minutes in the circle and you could sit and meditate in the circle. And it was just like call your name out sort of thing.
Yep.
And so I'll just backpedal a little bit. My initial reaction to the stones when I saw them the first day at the break was I wanted to touch them.
Yeah.
And of course, the first thing you said was don't touch them. And I didn't touch them.
Yeah.
However, it was just like, oh, wow, these are cool. I want to play. What's this one? You know what I mean? I was drawn to them. You know, like it was almost like a magnetic, like I just wanted to play with them. And so very curious the next day. And I sort of had like just say completely open-minded, in a good mood. You know what I mean? I was in a good place,
Yeah.
So I sat down in the circle and sat down in the front circle because that's just how it worked out. That was the first person that got up when our name got called.
So with the circles, sorry, just to stop you there.
Yep.
Sorry I hope I don't break your train of
No,
thought.
that's fine.
But I just wanted to get, so were they male and female orientated?
No, the stones are mostly male.
Okay, yep.
And there was enough female stones within the circles to sort of give it a bit of balance.
Okay, right. Because when you were talking before about the male and female.
It's like, so there's control stones in the middle,
yeah,
and at the top of the 2 circles, and then there's sort of rest of them around. It sort of looks like a figure 8 or an infinity symbol.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Right? So there's 2 circles, yeah.
Okay, right.
And they're all in varying size. They're not that big, you know what I mean? Like the biggest stone's probably about
100 mil
across.
Yeah,
they're not massive.
Yeah.
And like I'd been watching people in the stones to see what their reaction was, and no one had a negative reaction. And I should mention that Stephen did say that sometimes the stones will kick people out.
Yep.
And there was one lady that went into the stones, basically hung around 5 minutes, then left.
Yep.
So whatever happens there,
left the whole
whole thing? Yeah, she was gone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she was supposed to be there for all day, and she left.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Read into
that, whatever you want to, you know what I mean? So, as quiet as I say, I think about it now, and it's like I sat down in there, and I sort of, I got in my position where I was comfortable, and I just sort of closed my eyes and just sort of sat there. And this is no bullshit, but this is my perspective of what happened, okay?
Yep.
Brotherly love and hilarity. I thought those stones were hilarious. Like I just started smiling, but like the genuine smile that is just from inside you,
like a belly laugh kind of thing. Like it's not false.
No, but just
a
genuine, and that's what came over me, right?
Just like a warm fuzz.
Just
that
a
brings
warm
a smile
fuzz
to
and
your
just a
face.
smile. But there was like the stones were funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yep.
That's my interpretation.
That was the feeling.
And the thing was, Stephen was telling a story. So basically, he's going to take all the stones down to a site somewhere in South Australia, and basically join them all together, do a proper ceremony around it, and then seal them up and leave them where they are. Okay, so that's his plan with the stones. Okay?
Yep.
And he took some down there to basically introduce them to the spot, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he left. I think he said he took 80 down there, but he left 15 behind.
Mm.
And he was like telling this story that the other 65 weren't happy about being taken away.
Yeah.
And he was like rushing to a hotel or something, and he was carrying the 2 stone bags, and one of the bags basically swung in front of him, tripped him over in front of a truck. Right? And he's telling this story, and I'm not joking, right? This is what happened. And I almost heard these stones go, yeah, that was fucking, like, that was funny. You know what I mean? Like,
gotcha.
yeah. Have just an intensely positive experience. Just being part of that experience that day was very interesting. It's very interesting. A lot of very cool people.
Yep.
And really connected with some cool people, and to say the energy of those stones was almost like jovial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Now I think about it now, trying to explain it to you. They're inherently Aussie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Larrikin stones.
Larrikin stones. Like, don't fuck around with them. They want to play a joke. You know what I mean? But
pranksters.
Like the Aussie spirit. Aussie spirit inhabited their stones. Because I think the Aussie spirit's the Aussie spirit. Doesn't matter anything,
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good indicator. That's a good explanation. Because there was a whisper of like, don't fuck with us. We are, but welcome, and nice to see you and nice to have you here. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, so an aura of respect. But if you follow the rules and it's all good intentions.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
It's totally fine. However, don't step outside.
Yeah,
but isn't that inherently Australian? It's like, everyone's cool, no worries.
Yeah.
However, don't go past the line.
Yeah.
Because that's not a good idea.
Yeah, don't make us have to speak the unspoken.
Yeah.
Like, just use some common sense.
Because once that line's crossed, we can't come back.
Well, now we're not going back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can't go back now.
Yeah. You've proven yourself unworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought you'd just get it.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. Hey, you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if this is the right time. You said something about the resin on the mailstone.
Yeah, so there's interesting carvings in the stones. As I say, that one looks like it's got a soldering iron through it. And there's a couple of ones that is a definitive point where something's been dragged through them. Look, heat, whatever. However, there's like this resin or glue stuff in the mailstone in the back of it.
Yeah.
And from what we were told on the day, they've had it analysed, and they don't really know what it is, but it's a type of glue that's been there for 10,000 years. You know what I mean? And as he said at the day, he's like, go to Dulux and see if they've got a glue that'll last 10,000 years. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And 10,000 years is just that's an X number.
Yeah, it's just a number.
It's just a long term.
It's just a number,
It's been there.
It's been there who knows how long.
Who knows how long.
But yeah. I mean, I think, look, these guys, obviously, they know Graham Hancock and that sort of stuff, so I believe they're on the Younger Dryas paradigm.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
The poor before and after and all the things that we looked into in the past.
Which I noticed today that Shermer is getting across some of that info.
Yes. There's a blast from the past. We reviewed that podcast.
Remember that one?
We reviewed that podcast.
What was that? That was like 961,
I think. 65, something. Anyway,
it's somewhere. Anyway, yeah, I remember doing that one.
Yeah, that's in the back catalogues, guys, if you want to check it out. But Shermer's come around to Hancock. Isn't that very fascinating? Here we are, all those years down the track.
There must be some evidence building.
Well, I was just going to say that there's multiple lines of evidence coming. Obviously the Greenland crater, which I think was one of the last pods you were involved in.
I remember talking about Greenland crater.
Yep. So, there's that. There's been more evidence come back from that. Basically, the proxies and everything's coming back in that something happened.
It's building because as more interest gains, there's obviously more research into it. Yes. Hence, things are starting to join up because there's boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. People are actually doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of amateur people like ourselves and, the world of podcasting is allowing us to do that sort of stuff as well. Yep. However, look, from whenever the last time we talked about it, it's not like the Younger Dryas thing, they're hanging on the same bits of evidence. There is new stuff coming in.
There's new stuff
all
coming
the time.
in. Yeah, exactly.
So,
from different parts.
Different
of the world.
parts, all different universities, different fields of study. So, yeah, I think they're along those lines. So that's why they sort of say 10, 12, 13, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're operating within that timeline.
Because it's the before and after.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's something existed here before that got wiped the fuck out that didn't exist here after.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why they throw around those numbers. But, yeah, I showed you that other stone. It looks like it's been poked with a hot poker or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Looked like I actually said on seeing it, it looked like the same implement that drew the lines in the other stone.
Yeah.
But it looked like they had poked at it, kind of like a sponge for a soldering iron.
Yeah, see, the only thing
that
that's what I mean. The mechanical thing that I get back is a soldering iron because it's something that has that sharp tip.
Yes.
That if you got it hot enough, you can actually do that in soft metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can drag it through and you can make those markings.
Yes.
And look, there was multiple different stones with multiple variations of markings. The other thing about where the stones come from, people find these stones everywhere and send them to Evan and Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this is something, have this.
Yeah,
you know?
Gotcha. Yeah,
and I suppose
you'll make more of it than what I can.
Yeah, and the interesting observation of it that I found with the stones as well was that they honestly look like stones that could be in our backyard. Mm-hmm. You know, and I thought, when I thought about that, because it was a few...
so there was nothing like standing out about them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no big crystal bloody... You know what I mean? Like, none of that sort of stuff. They were just everyday stones that had unusual markings on them.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things that should be interested. So I had the 5 minutes in the circle. Mm-hmm. Amazing experience. Finished the thing. Really cool. And then the next... I didn't want to... my little daughters were waiting for me to get back for my birthday, mate. So I literally drove 6 hours and spent 2 hours in a seminar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gotcha.
So I'd hung around long enough for the other lecture to start, and I sat in the back circle as opposed to the front one. So I sat in both of them, and it was basically a mirrored experience.
Right.
Very warm, very loving, very almost like welcome back type thing. You know what I mean? Very interesting. And I sat in there for longer than 5 minutes because I had it sort of to myself, and I asked them. And it sounds weird. I asked them.
Open mind. Yep.
I asked them why they were so plain, and it's the age-old thing. Sometimes the best place to hide is right out in the open.
It's in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If for those that are willing to look and able to see, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And another very mirrored experience. But interestingly, I sat in there for about 5-10 minutes, and was like, I've got to get up and go now. Mm-hmm. It was like it was enough. It was just all of a sudden, I'm done now. I've obviously got what I came here to get. It wasn't like they kicked me out or anything. It was just like, you can go now.
Yep.
Okay, I'll go now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it was yeah. So there was a finale, finale to the whole experience sort of thing. It was like and we're done.
And we're done.
Yep.
Yep. Totally cool. Thank you very much. So and then. Yeah, I drove home, but as I say, like coupled with the stuff that I've learned about Australia's Stonehenge, which we can talk about, and the stuff in Gympie.
Let's move into the Stonehenge stuff. So you went and met Stephen and Evan, and spoke to them. So that was one thing you were going to download on me about, but then also Richard Patterson,
yes,
and Australia's Stonehenge,
yes.
So that's a bit of a mind blowing sort of thing. You were telling me about that. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
and kind of the scale, I guess.
The scale, yeah,
the scale with which, I guess you could say, the one that we're talking about, the Stonehenge that we're talking about was only one of many, and others that exist or used to exist.
Well, the actual site that where the survey documents were taken, was 2 stone rings,
right?
But they were like a Celtic cross, okay. Which is the same. You would know, that's the same symbol that's found everywhere around the globe. The circle with the cross through it.
With the cross, yeah.
Right, and then there was like an arching, almost like boomerang type shape of stones. And so there are 2 main rings, and then in between them they had all these different size stones, and you basically went from one end to the other. as part of an initiation.
Initiation process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And potentially people came from all over the globe to participate in that process.
Yep.
Yeah.
All over the globe.
All over the globe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep to think about.
Yeah. So let me throw this at you, and this is UTC theory.
Yeah.
Okay. So so let's say an advanced race existed 13,000 years ago, which I know you think so. I know
Yeah.
I think so. We're on that wagon. Okay.
Yep.
They understood how to move 1,000-ton blocks.
Yep.
Okay. All the texts say something was going to happen, right? So they knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if they're advanced enough to know that it was coming and it was going to hit in the northern hemisphere, because that's where it did hit.
Yeah.
So whatever information or everything else you've got that's important, you would send it to the furthest continent away that was going to be the least affected, that is probably the biggest island mass on the planet,
Yeah.
and you would hide it there
Yeah.
because that's where it's going to be safest.
Well, it's, yeah.
And that would be
Australia.
Australia.
I think we're the biggest island, the smallest continent,
Yeah.
but we're, on scale of like North America.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the USA, sort of continental USA.
Yeah.
We're about the same size as that.
I think landmass
roughly.
we're bigger, however, just not the same shape.
Yeah.
So that's a UTC theory, because theoretically, from what I understand about Australia's Stonehenge, it was an initiation site, and potentially for X amount of thousands of years, Egyptians, the Dutch, the Chinese, like all these guys have known, South Americans, they've been known to trade anyway. Okay?
Yes. Yep.
You know, because I think the thing is, and I know you know a bit more about the story as well, but you'd also know that when we were kids, what were we taught about Indigenous, about the Aborigines? Right? There was a big rainbow snake. They liked doing dot paintings.
Yep.
They threw spears. They played the didgeridoo.
Yeah. Nomadic. Yeah. Hunter-gatherers.
Hunter-gatherers.
Yep.
Not really, let's face it, they were portrayed as not intelligent, you know what I mean? Not advanced, da-da-da-da-da.
That's right. It would be along the lines of, to simplify it, just a hunter-gathering sort of tribal...
Yeah, primitive society.
Primitive society, exactly.
Yeah, wrong.
Yep. Wrong.
Okay, wrong. So the evidence that I've seen, and there is growing evidence from early explorers and stuff, they found circular stone huts that were actually made from stone that had cone roofs. They found actually agriculture. So like they'd come across random, not fenced off fields, but random fields with the hay stacked in a triangle pattern.
Yeah,
which is
like in bushels kind of thing.
Bushels, yep, across the plain. So they were actually collecting wheat or whatever it was they were doing.
Some kind of grain.
Yes.
Yep.
There was actually up and down the East Coast, there was, wouldn't call them city centres, but I'd call them meeting places that were constantly inhabited, which had semi-permanent or permanent structures. And look, there's no easy way to say it. They fucking destroyed it all and hid it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you want to colonialize an area, you can't have this pesky history
Yes.
getting in the way.
Yeah, well, look, we will get into that, however, because there's a story there in itself. However, so basically there's the Gosford glyphs, right?
Well, weren't you going to tell me there was something to know about that lady gave a presentation on?
Yes. So
Can you tell me more about that?
Two things about the Egyptians potentially coming here to learn some of our stuff. Like you would know as well that the Egyptians talked of a great people from the south who taught them things. Like that's in the hieroglyphs, okay? So also they found like an Egyptian boat anchor tied up in the river along the east coast there. All right. Which was there and now is not there. There used to be carvings of an Egyptian boat, you know what I mean? The classic style
long
Egyptian boat with the sail, yep.
Yeah.
So there was carvings of that. And then you've got the Gosford glyphs. So firstly, I would say everyone would say, they've been disproven, right? So basically the two stories are it was done by a mad Yugoslav guy in the 1900s.
Right.
Or it was uni students on holidays on the weekend in the 60s.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
understanding that there's roughly 600 to 800 early petroglyph-style hieroglyphs at the carry-on glyphs.
Yeah.
Okay, there's at least 300. They're all lined up perfectly. Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs. That's what I was trying to remember.
Proto-Egyptian. Right.
So early
okay.
early hieroglyphs.
Yes.
Okay, so there's over 300 of those carved perfectly into the stone.
Yep.
So, you've got some idea of, causing some mischief. How long is it going to take? You're not going to, on a holiday, this is what we're going to do, mate. Instead of going home to see the missus, we're going to walk into the bush to a random stone and we're going to draw 400 hieroglyphs on a stone because that's funny.
That's fun. Yeah, no, it takes long enough to scratch, like,
one.
Me and Shaz forever,
Yeah.
Into the rock. And that's just like, how you get, like, lichen on the rock? You just scratch it into that black, sooty sort of lichen.
Yeah.
You never go past that.
No. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to take us 12 hours a day for weeks on end in the 60s.
On end. Yeah, because that's fun. We're just going to chisel that into rocks.
Yeah. And
are we going to make them tell a story?
Yeah, we're going to make them tell a story.
Oh, right. So they can be translated.
Yeah, it can be translated.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we're going to make them tell a story about three brothers.
Yeah.
One of them being related to Khufu, actually.
Oh, right.
Okay. Yes. And they got one of them got bitten by a snake twice.
Yep.
Okay. They couldn't get back to their ship. They got lost in the bush, and they had to bury the guy who got bitten by a snake twice somewhere in the area.
Right.
Yeah. And that was their story. Basically,
and that's the story.
We ran aground, our ship, we got off on our ship on the wrong place. Like, they might have been aiming for Byron or Mullumbimby, you know what I mean? If they were aiming for, then, it's like anyone, like, can we drive to Sydney? Yeah, we can, but it's going to take 12 hours. You know what I mean? At 100 k's an hour. Like, Australia,
exactly.
So
it's like, can we go to Australia? Yeah, we can, but not quite sure where we're meant to go. We're meant to go to the easternmost point.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And they, 1 degree over whatever, they got off course and they ended up down near Gosford somewhere.
Yes.
And so that's the story. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or there was a crazy Yugoslavian guy that just did it for fun. Because
he's crazy.
Yeah. So then the question would be, who's the crazy Yugoslav? The crazy Yugoslav.
Yeah.
Who is he? The crazy Yugoslav.
I think his name was Tony. Tony Yugoslav?
Yeah, Tony. Yeah. He was Jono Yugoslav?
Yeah, he was half Serbian, half Yugoslav.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was that Wogboy movie.
Yeah. It's the mad Yugoslav. So, and then it's like, the students did it from the university. What university? The university.
The university.
What students? The students. The students did it. Okay, so let me debunk it straight away for you, because this is what blew my mind. Okay, so the actual dictionary of early Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs and the understanding and the translation of them didn't come out until somewhere in the late 60s.
Right.
Okay, so it never actually existed prior to.
So if someone was going to use those shapes
to write a story,
they would somewhat need to know the meaning.
Yeah. Well, they've made it make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the book didn't even exist if it was the mad Yugoslav. So he's magical as well.
He's he's far outside the parameters. Yeah. So, but we've got uni students that are borderline.
Yeah. We've got uni students that are borderline. However, the research has been done, and no university ran a Proto-Egyptian hieroglyph course pretty much ever in
Australia.
Not ever in Australia. I think there's some ones now.
Yeah.
But definitely not in the 60s
not
and
in
70s.
That timeline.
Not in that timeline.
Yeah.
At all. So, to me, that makes them...
So that kind of debunks both of them.
Sort of debunks, both the theories.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
And the other one that sort of flirts around is it's two soldiers that went to Egypt in World War II and they learned about it and they come back and did it for a joke. Again, why?
Yeah, it's not a great joke.
And no one made any money out of it. You know what I mean? It's not like you didn't go, oh, look at the glyphs, pay me $10 to go and see it. That never happened. They just found them.
Yep.
So yeah, the Gosford glyphs, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've heard so far, they're legitimate. So as far as the stories go, there's more research to be done, and I wanted to talk to Stephen and Evan a bit more about it and get more detail. However, they aren't
very interesting.
They aren't. I would say at this point, there's more to them than those stories suggest.
Yeah.
And look, there's evidence of that. You know what I mean? South Americans as well. Look, the stuff in Gympie, I wonder whether there's South American influence there or, one taught the other. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to quite put that together. There's still evolving theories. So
when you first put those photos of the church wall stones up and you posed the question, there was a few suggestions of Bolivia or something like that.
South America, Bolivia.
Yeah, because the polygonal masonry
that's pretty much where it's found
in sections is perfect. It matches a lot of the older stuff coming out of South America and the older stuff coming out of Egypt. It's very well done, I must say. And one thing, actually, why don't we scoot over onto Gympie?
We can, yeah.
One thing that did blow my mind when you were explaining tonight was about that church wall was the fact that, let me explain, because sections of it do look a little bit rougher, and it looks like some stones have just been, like some small stones may have been stuffed in to fill gaps. But as Triffin was explaining to me earlier, all of those stones are like 500 mil deep.
Yeah, they're all the same width.
So even that little stone that may be carved into the wall, so there might be 4 stones meeting a triangle, and they're all carved in around it.
But that triangle is 500 mil.
It's like it's a prism. It's a triangular prism. It goes
it's like
back
a big Toblerone.
Yeah, so it may only be like 150 mil size at the front, but it goes back 500 mil, so it all fits in there.
It all fits in there perfectly, and the fact that those stones have been handled and reassembled, and obviously I've looked at that wall now 3 times, and obviously the ore is now gone from it. Now when I go up and I look at it, I'm actually looking for stuff.
You're looking for flaws. You're looking to debunk.
Looking for joining. Looking for this, for that, and the other. So
yeah.
And the more I look at it, it's like some of them aren't in the right place. Like you could, I just want to take one of them out, switch them around, put it back in, and it'll fit better.
Yeah.
Because remember just so I'm pretty sure you know the story. However, the story of the wall, for those that are just joining us, the story of the wall is that it was donated to the church in the 1930s. Where the wall came from, it was donated by a farmer who already had the wall, who had dismantled the wall at some place, numbered it, and had it sitting there for whatever reason.
Yep.
And he donated it to the church, and it was used as a Depression-era employment scheme to put the people of Gympie to work building the wall.
Yep. To give the guys some jobs.
Yeah, give them some jobs. And that's where the wall came from. And theoretically, that wall came from the Gympie Pyramid.
Yep.
Which, I showed you more photos tonight. Like, you've seen more than anything I post on Instagram.
Yeah, well, what fascinated me, one thing you were explaining to me was kind of I guess you'd say the drop away of skill kind of thing.
Yeah, those
like
2 walls. That was the last trip that I went up there. I noticed. I noticed that there seems to be 2 different types of walls. So it's almost like one is the poor cousin of the other. However, to me, and this is obviously with my I don't know anything complete, bro science, mate science, whatever it is, unlocking the code specialty. No, nothing at all. However, to me, the 2 different types of walls that I see, if you compare the church wall to the other wall that's in Gympie, one looks like the poor cousin of the other.
Yeah.
It looks like they were cut the same.
Yeah, you were saying something about striations. Now, this was another thing that you bookmarked with me. You're like, ask me about striations later.
Yeah.
So tell me about the striations. So now's the time.
So striations, the literal interpretation of striation is wear.
Yep.
Over time. However, to me, some of those stones, and again, I've had Bushy look at them, the stonemason from Melbourne. He's baffled by it all. Like, this guy's been working with stone for 18 years. He's been moving these blocks.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit baffled by the wall. Mm-hmm. And I actually got to send an email to him.
What was his comments about the polygonal masonry? Like,
he was blown away.
Would he do something like that?
No, it's too much work.
It's too much work.
He could.
But for what people of this, like, obviously he's been doing it for 18 years, modern times.
Yeah.
No one's going to pay the money for the work that he would
put in to do that.
Yeah.
And also the thing is, what he did say, and it's a stonemason's perspective. We did discuss that on the podcast. However, he's like saying, I would have to use modern tools to get it that exact.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the rabbit holes is what makes a rock flat. That's a very fascinating one, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that how flat some of these rocks are. I mean, none of those are flat. However, they're pretty bloody perfect.
Yeah.
Another thing too, like you can see, you can't put a piece of paper in between that stuff.
No.
And there's no, mortar or anything. They're all just slotted in together. And one of the things we noticed when you were talking about it was that, as you say, some of those squares and triangles and stuff, there's 7 stones that needed to be cut to get around that one keystone.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Why would you do that when you could just layer them together so much more simply? They didn't need those 7 stones didn't need to come to a point and then be molded around this dinky little rectangle or triangle or square. That's so much effort.
Yeah. So striations, right? So striations is technically wear. However, to me, they're all very common. Now, one of the theories behind how they cut them was actually using like a plant acid. So using multiple plants to make an acid to help cut the stone. Now, theoretically, maybe those marks, and you saw them on some of the Gympie wall, they look like finger marks almost, you know what I mean? They're very prominent in some of the stones.
Definitely.
Maybe that is where the acid went to cut the stone, because that other wall looks like it has similar striations on a lot of that stone, like I showed you.
Yeah.
However, the finishing on that second wall is... It's what's crap basically, but it looks like looks like
something you run of the mill landscaper could slap up. It's just there's not a lot of interlocking.
No,
you can see sometimes it looks like someone had a blast from the past
and did like a little edge.
We'll do a little bit of lock here, but that could have even been just natural chips, and they went, oh look, those two will kind of fit there. They didn't look it didn't look planned.
But as I say, it looks like they've been...
It's very haphazard.
They're very haphazard, but it looks like they've been cut the same. And those markings, they're called striations. Striations normally to do with wear, but I would like someone with a bit more knowledge to have a look at them to give me a bit more of a download.
The one thing that if they were going to talk about wear, as in like water erosion or anything like that, in place.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed, now I may be wrong, but I swear I saw this. Some striations were horizontal, some were vertical.
Yeah.
So that if it was going to be water erosion
causing
the
not
striation,
uniform. They're not uniform.
Then it couldn't possibly form the horizontal ones.
No. And some of them look like they're on angles as well.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? One went down that way, one went down that way, but they all look, the markings are all the same. They're just in different directions.
In different angles, different directions.
Yeah.
Which once upon a time, if we were using a plant acid compound to soften / cut stone, however that was doing it, those striations may actually be points where the acid's cut a little bit more in. It's hit a denser section of rock. It's come back out. Or they've left it a little bit longer in that section than the other section. You don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I'm not exactly across the plant acid theory, to be honest.
Well, it's a new theory to me, and it's something that I'm a little only a part way into, so I don't have much more to say about it apart from that. However, trust me, if it can be made from plants in Australia, then I'm going to try and make it.
We're gonna look deeper into it.
I'm going to try and make it to see whether it works.
Okay.
However, so that's the striations. They all look the same, but the two stone walls are of differing quality.
Different build quality.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
And also accuracy of cuts.
Finishing.
Yeah, exactly. You can see the striations and the flat, I guess, the front side. Look similar, but the edges are rough as. Like they're still basically round stones with a flat cut front.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones are polygonally cut.
So it's interesting. So obviously, I have vested interest. I've been and seen these stones a few times up at the pyramid, like that wall where there's steps cut out of it and all this stuff. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, I know what I told you, what I thought, but what were your personal thoughts on that? Does it? Because to me, it looks like there's been stuff that's been slices that have been cut out of that stone. Like the right angles are too sharp.
What you were showing me, it looked like stone had been quarried from there.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. So this is out at the actual pyramid site now, not in at the church anymore.
No, yeah,
but the photographs that you'd showed me, there was, it looked like really old quarrying stuff. Basically, there was vertical faces, there was horizontal faces, and at 90-degree angles.
Yeah.
And they're flat. and nature doesn't do flat really well. Even the crystalline structure of the basalt and the granite sort of stuff that's there, the bush rock that makes up that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's not flat.
It doesn't work that way. So yeah, man. Like I said, it looks like some kind of old quarry. It looks like stuff's been cut out of there. Yeah. But the fact that the striations themselves, what gives them that allure is the fact that they look like tooling.
Yeah.
But
not a tooling we understand.
Because of the age, they're tooling, but you can't go, oh, I can see where like a large circular saw, like a rock cutting circular saw, like nothing modern.
No,
because a more modern thing wouldn't be so eroded. They've nearly eroded back to where it's like I can see something's there, but I can't make out what it is.
And you got to remember too that technically they only had stones, bones, and sticks back then.
That's right.
However, you had to have something harder than that limestone to cut it.
Yeah.
And then shape it.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, how are you making those steps? How are you making those triangles? How are you doing that?
Yeah.
Because that's not, and again, so you talk about the skinny pieces. How are you going to keep that skinny piece that perfect for that long without it breaking?
That's right. Without it breaking.
With only sticks, stones, and bones to work with.
And the density of those things aren't very great.
No, it's not. It's not like a granite or anything else like that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it is a semi-porous stone. I'm not saying it's a hard stone, but it's still big ass fucking stones, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think so sort of fine to the second trip for me, going back and having another look, apart from some of the pictures I took of the wall, which revealed some interesting stuff on the D-Stretch app, which I was showing you, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other one was the preparation stone.
Yeah, so explain, because it took me a couple of goes to get. Everyone else will probably get it better than I did. But I guess explain why you feel it's a preparation stone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll probably will post a photo of that one up on Insta just for everyone to have a look at. I think that'll be okay. It's basically a stone that, so I have posted before, there's like the grinding stones. So it's like a concave surface that's obviously been rubbed a lot to create grain, grind grain, like it doesn't matter what paint, whatever it is, right? It's a preparation to prepare stuff.
Yes.
This stone was a large stone. It had basically if you're looking at it, the front third closest to you was one of those dished out, worn over time.
Like a grinding stone.
Then to the right, it looked like, there's no other way to describe it but like a sharpening block, you know what I mean? It looked like something had been dragged through multiple times down the stone.
Yep, and it was ground away on an angle.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like in a V shape, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So something's been dragged through there a number of times.
Yeah.
And then in the top left-hand corner, there's like a right angle section of stone that's actually been cut out of the rock. So to me, you think about, what do? You know what I mean? A carpenter, any of the stuff you do your test bit. Right? So he's got, whoever it is, old mate's got the stone, I'll make the acid up, I'll do this, I'll do that, sharpen my tool. I'll just drip a bit of acid here, see what the cut's going to be like. Click, click. Oh, yep, sweet as.
Done. Yeah,
That's
good to go. It worked. Yeah,
yeah. This is a successful
what
batch.
What are all the you get a wood stain or a glue or something like that.
Well, even think about how we painted this thing, mate. We test painted a wall in here. You know what I mean? Like,
it always says in the directions, like, test on a small area like that's not noticeable first to see how it's going to react.
Yeah, exactly.
With the material you're using.
So they've used that to test what they're doing.
Yep.
It worked, and they did whatever they did from there. However, to see those three elements within one stone, regardless of all the other square-angled stuff that I showed you, that step wall where it looks like stuff's been sliced out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hard not to say that stone has been cut there because there's too many right angles, there's too many square stones. And the thing is, every time you go back there, I find more.
Yes.
It's not like there's only a few that you target.
No, that's right. It's not like cherry picking. It's like there's more cherries popping out every time you go back and you get more familiar.
Yeah.
And so you look past things that you've already found, and you look further and you find more stuff.
Yeah, I found a lot more stuff this time because the awe had gone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The being there and experiencing it and feeling the energy of it, you know what I mean? That had gone past there. The next time was actually to go and do some stuff.
Do some work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was there anything else you sort of took away from that last trip to the Gympie Pyramid?
Look, I think there's a lot of stuff that grander ideas that are coming out of, you know, Australia's Stonehenge, the Gympie Pyramid, the stuff I learnt from the Strong, you know, father and son. You know, there's a lot of information coupled with a lot of the research that we did in the early days, and you know, I've stayed on the. I'm like 10 k's deeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're in the TBM and you're just going deeper.
Yeah. I haven't actually pulled out yet. You know what I mean? Don't think I could find my way back to the surface if I tried.
You're so far in.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right?
You're only going to pop out the other side.
Yeah. There's no going back now.
Yeah.
So taking that into account, all the other information that's coming to light. I mean, I think the thing that, and this is, I know we had discussions about this early on, is the thing that messes with me at the moment is time frame.
Yeah.
How old is stuff? You know what I mean? Like, you know, people seem to be pretty confident in the carbon-14 stuff, sort of give or take, but then there's other stuff I read that carbon dating's not that accurate. We literally can't date stones. There's no way to actually know.
Yeah, you're always dating things around the stone
to
give you some kind of thing, some kind of idea. But then what happens if, when the stones were built, the stuff that was originally there got washed away?
Yeah, I don't.
And then someone else came in and just happened to live there on a pre-arranged, pre-assembled something. Exactly.
And I think, look, I think maybe I'm willing to, like, just so it doesn't send me around the twist.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work with the Younger Dryas hypothesis. Okay,
yes.
So like that, something happened 11,600 years ago, something happened 12,800 years ago. I think they've got the proper carbon footprint, the C14, out to 14,000 years now, and they're pretty confident that that's give or take 100 years.
Yeah.
Right?
They're confident on the accuracy.
On the accuracy.
Yep.
Now,
yes.
Like every turn of the spade changes history. However, you know, past that, considering that, you know, I think the latest number is it's jumped again, that Indigenous, you know, the Aborigines have been here for 160,000 years now.
Gotcha.
So that's jumped again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think it was 120 last time we talked.
Yeah,
it's now 160.
may have been. Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, it's now 160.
Yeah.
So, but how accurate is that? And is it longer? Because the thing is, like...
if we're talking accuracy,
yeah,
and your mind automatically goes to it could be shorter, but could it be longer?
I think
there's a large window there when you start getting out.
And I think there's more stuff, you know, you think about the land mass being above water that's now underwater. You know what I mean? Like that's the entire chain of Indonesia.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you know, there's interesting stuff like, you know, there's been footprints found 2.3 million, footprints found 4 million years old, you know, hominid footprints. Mm-hmm. Like that's a long you know what I mean? That's... So if then you start playing with that sort of window, like, you know, then you take into account, like it's the time thing is messing with me a fair bit. And I think, you know, I know one of the projects we were working on was Cataclysmo, right?
Yep.
Since that time, again, I'm 10 Ks deeper now, right? So the level of catastrophe that happened twice, once 12,800 years ago, and then again in some form 11,600 years ago, is unfucking believable. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, all the theories that we used to throw around, and we were trying to pinpoint one. I don't think it's one; it's all.
Yes,
right. It's
everything. That's what we were saying before about the explaining the basketball theory.
Yeah.
And it was like it's the basketball theory was a very dumbed down, simplified idea.
Yeah.
And it doesn't explain everything. It's just a tiny piece in a puzzle.
Yeah.
That it's that and it's everything else.
Yeah.
Everything happened.
Yeah. Like crustal displacement, potential crustal slip, and axis changing. You know what I mean? Like if you think, depending on the size of the rock, both things could happen.
Exactly.
You know, tectonic plates rising and falling, volcanoes going off, like weather, snow, continent-wide wildfires. And it was all happening all at the fucking same time.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, and we can't contemplate it. And what was actually wiped from the record at that time
it's hard to know that will ever be known.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, and actually is something that I got off the Serpent Brothers podcast. They were talking about tools, and we've always talked about where's the tools, where's the metal. Doesn't matter what kind of metal it is. If it's a tool, like it's a tool that we use to cut rocks, or you know what I mean, it's in your tool bag, like the toolbox behind this wall.
Yeah.
It's not going to last 10,000 years. Doesn't matter what you do.
No, we've said that.
Exactly. It's going to break down. So even if they had metal, it's not here anymore. And the other thing is too, let's pretend that there was a cataclysm, but imagine there's all these steel structures or whatever structures that were there. Mm-hmm. You're surviving. You're going to butcher those fucking things.
Exactly.
Steal them for knives, for blades, for whatever.
Like they took the limestone off the outside of the pyramid.
Yeah.
They built other buildings with it.
Yeah.
Because life gets tough. And you got to survive.
Yeah.
And that big thing that I don't know what the fuck it does.
Yeah.
Because it's been thousands of years. Well, it's got some real good, easy to cut rock on it.
I
and
think
we need some houses.
The story was there was an earthquake and a couple of them shook loose.
Yep.
So they could actually get access to them.
Yep.
So once they got access to one, it's
it's like there's an edge.
Yeah, if he took one, I'll take one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Interestingly, though, digging into that a little bit further, there's no evidence of any of the capstones anywhere in Egypt.
Capstones as in the limestone blocks?
Limestone blocks on the outside. There's no evidence of them anywhere.
Were they ever there?
Well, technically yes. However, where they went, no one knows.
No one knows.
Because remember, especially on the Great Pyramid, they're said to be covered in hieroglyphs. So
it's a deep rabbit hole, my friend.
Yeah.
And
so yes,
look, I think we've just about. Do you have anything else?
Look,
have we touched all the points?
I haven't got too much more else. I suppose the open ideas, as I say, the time frame thing is kind of messing with me. I don't think we understand time frame. I don't think we understand how long we've actually truly been here. I think it's potentially longer than we know. And the other side is that were the tectonic plates closer together? You know what I mean? How many land bridges were there? Like, I wonder whether or not the land masses were closer together, talking about crustal displacement and these bits and things, because along with every one of these type of cataclysms, which are Randall Carlson, there's like a meme I can show you, something like 16 or 17 semi-extinction level events in the last 150,000 years, right? So at each one of those points, shit goes fucking haywire. Something rises, something falls. Like they're talking about some of the South American stuff, where there's terraces to farm on that are above the snow line.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So
I get what you're saying.
Is that actual crustal? Is that?
Yes.
Has
it pushed the whole
fucking thing up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's one of the things they're talking about, because there's terraces in South America that are above the snow line.
Yeah.
Like, you're not growing shit there.
No, that's right. And now we're talking a more exaggerated form of crustal displacement than that we already know of that has created, like, the Andes.
Yes.
You know, they're growing at whatever rate per year, but outside of those calculations,
there is
from tectonic plate shift, it's a cataclysmic style.
Yeah. So I think
lifting.
that, again, it's everything. They move all by themselves.
Yep.
However, at the same time, every now and again, shit goes haywire and cataclysmic things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we. So, you think about those terraces, you think about the top of the Himalayas, the Andes and stuff like that. They find megalith stuff at the top of the mountain. Mm-hmm. And they also find shells and shit at the top of the mountain. So that mountaintop was once underwater.
Yeah.
At some point.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, you start putting all these pieces together, and we truly are a species with amnesia. Like, and we may have survived time and time again, just unimaginable.
Yeah.
We have no concept. There's no movie that could do it. The other thing...
No, they could do it justice. Well, what was the super volcano 70,000 years ago? Like, we've spoken about this.
Yeah. 5,000 people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A possibility of 5,000 people in the DNA record.
Of
is
globally
what the population could have got down to.
Yeah, that's where we derive from. I think it's 5,000 to 8,000 now. I think they put it out to 8,000 different strands of DNA.
Someone questioned it.
Yeah, I think it's about 8,000 now,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. 8,000
matter,
people
that's
have made 8 billion.
That's fuck all.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Exactly.
8,000 people have made 8 billion from that time. And who knows, and I think, I suppose the biggest takeaway and one of the core questions that we started asking at the start of all this, nearly 3 years ago, is did a megalithic society exist in Australia? Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Has Australia got a story to tell? Yes, of course it does. It's the oldest bit of rock on the planet.
Yes.
Of course it does.
Yes.
Has it been systematically destroyed and hidden from us? Yes.
Yep.
Why? I have theories, probably not for tonight, however, mostly control. Okay.
I'll throw one in there. Is there enough left to ever truly understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there enough that we can scratch together to ever truly understand what possibly went on in Australia, but also globally?
Globally, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So the way I described it, and I think you'll like this, because I've been thinking about say being 4,000 kilometres underneath the earth trying to figure this shit out, is it's like having a 500-piece jigsaw puzzle that we don't have the picture for, and we've only got 100 pieces.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got a couple of corner bits, little straight bits, and a whole heap of middle bits that don't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. And that's why I think what you said before is actually one of the most important things to take away. Is the line you said was, who knows? Because there's certain parts of archaeology, paleontology,
astronomy, archaeoastronomy, but anthropology.
But they talk about things in such definitive terms, but it's still just the best guess. With the best amount of pieces of that 100-piece jigsaw line up, and they go, well, that must be how it had to have happened.
Yeah, so you know how we had the theory that every time we dug into something, at the end it was basically, they don't really know, it's just a guess.
Exactly.
That has not stopped. Okay? Everything I look into is at the end it's like, okay, how did you get to that? How did you get to that? How did you get it? Well, Bazza said that,
exactly.
It must have been like that.
And then it comes out that, like, there's only been 6 pieces of something found. It's like, so you're making your whole fucking
global argument.
Global argument based on that. It's like, oh, I thought from a layman's perspective, looking towards academia, it's like, I thought you had more evidence than that.
So Darwin's evolutionary theory.
Yep.
Darwin himself only ever went on one field trip
to the Galapagos.
Yeah, to South America and North America.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
The entire theory of evolution.
He wrote it after observing the different species of finches on the Galapagos, I'm pretty sure.
Something along those lines, but it was only one single field trip.
Yep.
He never went to any other continent, never went anywhere else. Like, there's another one of these guys that come up with his theory, and he only went 2 miles from his house.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main guys that his theory is part of the top scientific theories.
Yeah.
The guy barely, we've ridden further than 2 miles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yep.
Oh, it's like just sort of walking down to the Oval and going, oh, yeah, that's got to be it.
It's very,
going home. You know what I mean?
It's a very small perspective of the world, isn't it?
It's like, yet it's interesting that mainstream scientists now poo-poo guys like myself, and yourself, and the Serpent Brothers and Graham and Randall and all these guys that are trying to synthesize this data and make some sense out of it, when these guys originally, that's all they fucking did.
That's all they fucking did. Exactly.
You know what I mean? They looked at the stories, they looked at the evidence, and they drew their conclusions.
Yep.
And most of their conclusions and the main story that we exist off for our history, as I say, another one of those things that since you've been gone, it's not like I'm hanging on the same bits of evidence. I've got 10,000 more bits of evidence.
Yeah, you're moving forward.
That prove it's bullshit. You know what I mean? It's almost without a shadow of a doubt now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, although I try to be objective at all times, it's like, well, everything is over here.
Well, you
know what I mean? It's like,
the age-old thing is the more you know, the more questions you have. The more you realise you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, and I tell you what, you talk about takeaways is... doesn't matter how many, I've been in the field. I've spent sort of 6 or 8 days in the field over the last few months. We're not going to head out there and obviously more deeper research and more analysing photographs at a deeper level than I have been before because I've had boots on the ground, and it's always more questions than answers, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't have the answers.
The cognitive capacity to compute
No,
the data.
It's like I've just got more. And again, because it's the 100-piece jigsaw puzzle, I
Yep.
don't have the corresponding pieces to bring it together.
Yep.
However, to me, is there a global megalithic society? You know, like that. One of the founding ideas, was there an advanced society that existed prior to 13,000 years ago? Yeah, of course there was, man. Like I can't. You know, actually, what I'll do is I'll finish on a mind blower for you.
Okay.
So Easter Island.
Yes.
Okay, so there's 7 sisters that face out.
Yes.
The rest of the statues face in.
Right. 7 sisters.
Seven-
like Pleiades.
Like the Pleiades, exactly, right? Obviously, you're aware that they are full statues. You've seen those pictures?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Those 7 sisters are staring directly west. And if you draw a straight line from those 7 sisters, they're staring at Mullumbimby, the side of the Australia Stonehenge.
Boom! Fucking mind explosion.
Like
That's
if you
deep.
draw a straight line around the planet,
Yep.
that's the first stop.
That's the first stop across the Pacific.
Yep.
Boom. Mullum.
Yeah. Most eastern
Bit
point
of
of
a
Australia.
bit of a navigation stone sort of thing.
Could be.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
also
yeah.
the Pleiades, that's the story of the 7 sisters and the Pleiades, is being echoed through a lot of the stories that I'm hearing at the moment about Australia.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's star people and stuff. I don't think that's for tonight. However, yeah, but that, I mean, the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, the 3 brothers of Orion chasing 7 sisters is a story. Another one of those ones that's echoed around the globe.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
yeah, man.
Throughout multiple cultures.
Throughout multiple
Well,
cultures.
can I just leave you with something?
Sure.
It took mammals 65 million years to get to the human form, if you believe in Darwin's evolution.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs were here for 130 million years.
You and your lizard people.
Fucking reptilian.
You
I tell you what, they created fucking spacecraft, they flew away, and then they came back, and that's your fucking reptilian alien. Boom, they're actually dinosaurs that were created here. They came from here, man. But nah, that's all jokes.
I can't believe it's been like 8 months and you finished.
I know.
Bloody
It just
reptilian.
came to me halfway through. I was
Oh,
like,
no.
Triff hates it when I bang on about this. I'm going to finish up with it. Hey, man, good chat. It was so good coming back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time, mate. And as I
Oh,
say,
you're
you know,
welcome.
we'll, when the mood strikes us, we find something interesting you feel like talking about, let me know, and we'll.
I'll pop in, man. It's been good tonight. It's been good just getting a dump of, like a download of what's been happening sort of thing. Because, like you said earlier, I've been off on my own journey, and maybe one day I'll return with some of Angus's own creative material.
Absolutely,
you know?
I think that's what we're looking forward to. Considering you demonetized my podcast on YouTube, you know
That was the goal.
it was. It's quite funny when we first said that. So we wanted to, but it's only because it's kudos to you and to us.
We're a
because
little
our
bit too
version-
close to the original versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It picked up the right whatever algorithm, and so any of the podcasts that have mine and Angus's version of Everlong or his version of Waiting for the World to Change have been demonetized, even though they've only been downloaded like 5 times or something.
Yeah.
So, but mate, no, it's good to be back, and I'm glad to blow your mind a little bit, and look forward to the next time, mate, whenever that is, man.
Yeah, man. No, it's good to be back, and thanks for having me.
No worries, dude. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
1, 2.